it up. Yo, long hairs, welcome to episode 113 of Let It Ride. Here we talk long hair and business, advocate for hair quality, and celebrate men's long manes with hair whips and high fives. If you're a guy with long hair, you are in the right place. I am LMARYNO, co-founder and president of the Longhairs, and I'm here today with my main man, El Garvinsky, on the controls. What's up, Garv? Along with the illustrious warehouse manager and the best beard in the building, El Sicario, sitting in the cockpit as co-host. And we are at the Longhairs global headquarters, also known as the warehouse, here in San Diego, California. Our guest on today's show is a first-timer here on Let It Ride, but he's been nearby all along. We are giving a huge hometown welcome to this man of many talents. He is a general contractor, brand owner, content creator, and blue-collar badass who lives by the mantra that if there's anything you want in this life, you gotta be able to work for it. He is Ryan, a.k.a. DMAXRYNO! What's up, dog?
Dude, this is like the most official thing I think I've ever sat in on my life, bro. That was rad.
Dude, hell yeah. We are so stoked to have you here, man. We've been big fans of what you've done on YouTube and really just your message and everything, you know, you put out there. Before we kind of get into your business and YouTube, and would love to just set some groundwork and learn a little bit about your background.
Okay.
Tell us what, like where you started, right? You're a big blue collar advocate.
Right.
Where did that come from?
So I grew up in a blue collar family. You know, my dad is a concrete finisher and a mason.
Yeah.
My mom she's third generation dairy farmer. So it was always kind of one of those things, like I've never not seen my parents bust their ass and work hard. And so that kind of growing up, that's your role model is, you know. We never went without, you know, my parents 12-hour plus days they worked, but yeah, that was kind of where I like got my teeth wet, or is that even the right term? I don't even know if that's the right term, but whatever. Yeah, I cut my teeth on just seeing like what the blue collar lifestyle is about, and maybe it's because that's all I knew, but that's definitely like the route I wanted to kind of pursue in life.
Yeah. So you went out of high school. You know, you were a good student, right? You probably could have gone to any college that you really wanted to, but you decided not to. You decided to kind of follow the family footsteps, get into some work, use your hands. Yeah. You got into masonry, right?
Yeah. So I was, 4.0 honor student. You know, I feel like I've always been kind of academically gifted, but it was just one of those things that I don't see myself being a lawyer. I don't see myself being a doctor.
Yeah.
I've always loved to build things and work with my hands. So coming into high school, you know, basically from elementary school on, they gear you towards college. Like it's college. And I remember in I think it was 5th or 6th grade, especially in San Diego, they said, hey, all you have to do is take XYZ classes and you're guaranteed admission to San Diego State. And I'm like, okay, that's great. You know, those are easy classes. Let's all sign up for that. And then as I got older and more into high school, I'm like, man, it seems like it's too easy to get into college. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's less about the education. It's more about like, yeah, we want your 50 grand a year.
Right.
So by about 10th, 11th grade is I think when I decided I don't think college is for me. And at that point I dropped all my honors classes and I realized what like normal English classes and math classes and all that were. And I'm like, oh dude, this is like the easiest ride ever. And then I just sat back and kind of enjoyed my last 2 years of high school. And then actually my senior year, being that, you know, like I had done all my classes I was supposed to do. If you took a college class at, you know, Southwestern College right across the street, you were able to have 3 classes a year or a semester.
Oh, really?
Which means I'd be out of school at like 10:30, 11.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let me see how I can like spin this into like pretending I have a Southwestern class. I totally lied about it. I never had a class over there. And instead of like going out, like getting out of school early and going and hanging out with my buddies, I used that to actually go to work. Nice. So I would take 3 classes a day. I'd be out of school. And then I would go straight to the job site and I started working in construction, and that's kind of how that started. My parents were always, my dad used to tell me, you know, go to school so you don't have to do this for a living. Yeah. And my mom was always cool. Like either way I wanted to go, it didn't really matter. And so I kind of dropped on him one day that, you know, I don't think college is for me. I'd rather go work in construction. And it was never a fight. You know, it was, my sister went the opposite route. She went to a private college and, you know, got her crazy business degrees and all that. And it just, you know, we're two polar opposites.
Dude, it's awesome. So you get some income coming in, you know, you're out there earning it.
Oh yeah.
When did the kind of transition from that to the YouTube get going? And then, because kind of the YouTube stories seems interesting.
So I've always been on YouTube since like 2006. I think YouTube was like conceived in 2005. So I've been on there for like the beginning, but it was never about making content for other people. And back then that wasn't even a thing. So I would just make videos of me and my buddies going to the desert, and then that was how I shared it with them. Yeah. So I never really saw YouTube as like this income stream as anything like that, because back then there was no money in it. But like before that, it was like the Instagram is what kind of got me into like being more social on media. Okay. Okay. So I had a girlfriend at the time who was like, oh, you need to make an Instagram so I can tag you in pictures. And I'm like, what do I need an Instagram for? I got Facebook. Like, I don't even use that. I don't need more distractions in my life. Yeah. So I begrudgingly made an Instagram, and all of a sudden I started seeing like, oh, there's companies on here, and like, oh, this truck parts company has parts on Instagram. They don't even show on their website. Like, I think websites might be outdated. And this was probably back, I don't even know, 2014 or something like that. So anyways, we broke up, and I made a completely different Instagram, and it was just kind of like truck based, because that was really the only reason I was on there. Yeah. And I didn't have any cool trucks or anything to show other than like me doing construction. So that's kind of where I coined like the hashtag work for it, because I was working for parts to be able to build this truck. Okay. And that's kind of what started like me being on social media. And then the YouTube channel kind of followed suit there probably about a year or two later. But it was just something I wanted to dabble in, like trying to be a vlogger. Yeah. And totally like sucked. So don't go back and watch my first videos because they're miserable. But you don't know till you try, you know. And I tried to do the construction stuff in the beginning, and I tried to kind of vlog a little bit of that, and it just went nowhere. And then I had a truck. I built my truck at the time, and I never really posted anything other than a couple of Instagram pictures on it. Yeah. And so it was never on the YouTube channel. I ended up getting hit by a drunk driver, and that truck got totaled. So I was starting to build a new truck, and I'm like, I wonder if YouTube will like care, you know, like let's put this new build out there, since I never filmed the other one, and it just blew up. And that's kind of how it all got started. Okay. So there's that point where the YouTube really started kicking off. Correct. Okay. Correct. Yeah. It was the truck that's sitting in here. Yeah, yeah. That build is what did it. Yeah. Yeah. And in the meantime, you were still doing masonry, or you? Oh yeah, I was full time doing concrete and masonry, and yeah, just busting my butt every day. Dude, it's phenomenal, and literally worked for it. I mean, I don't know if you see how sunburned I am, but we were pouring concrete for 12 hours yesterday. So nice. It was the rough one yesterday. It was a little hot out. Yeah, yeah, it's been warm. Yeah, dude. I think it's thank you for giving us the background. You're right. Like, there is such a culture of pushing for college. I feel like that is kind of shifting slightly, though. Absolutely. You know, there's a change in that, just with the debt and all the everything that's coming around. But one of your videos I was watching was like, you were talking about how just the opportunity that is there to get into this blue collar work and to really like set yourself up great financially early, right? Than like going to college and just getting in tons of freaking debt. Well, so, you know, I think it's a very smart approach to take and like just get out there and work. You could always do college if you want to down the road, like, but yeah, it's not the answer. Well, I'd rather do college later in life when I have some income. There you go. Because look at how many people get out. I mean, unless you're a doctor and a lawyer and you're making 100-something grand your first year, yeah, it's going to take you 10 years to pay back those student loans. It's gnarly. Yeah. So it's like, listen, I totally feel like that is a lifestyle for people, and it exists for a reason. And obviously you need it for certain careers and professions. And if that's you, totally on board. You know, there's doctors that wear work for it stuff. So, you know, feel free to hit up our website. But like, you know, it's just two different lifestyles. But the blue collar lifestyle has been, I don't know if tarnish is the right word, but it's looked down upon. It's like, you know, people that look at a janitor and like, yeah, dude, that guy's a nobody. But it's like, good luck going through life without somebody that's sweeping up after you, you know, at big events or something like that. The world's going to fall apart. So I've always, you know, growing up in that lifestyle and seeing my parents, you know, my dad tried to buy my sister a dress one year, and he went to, I think it was Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom's, and he was wearing his jeans and his boots. He had just poured concrete that day, and they wouldn't let him in. And they said, "Oh, no, we're closing." And as he was walking away, they let the next people come in.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, you got to be kidding me, you know.
Yeah.
He made enough money that day to buy a nice dress.
Right.
But because of the way he looked, they said, "No, we don't want you in there," you know. And I don't know if you guys have seen on my channel, but I tend to look a little homeless sometimes. And it's by design. Like, I don't want to sit here and be flashy. Like, I'd rather you judge me on who I am versus the way I look. So I'll never go buy a vehicle dressed to the nines. You know, I'll take my biggest beater that I have to go buy it. And if you take me seriously, then I'll spend my money there versus having to show like I have the money. You know, it's crazy, but that exists. So my goal with my YouTube channel is to show, like, yeah, I have a couple of nice things, but I'm also, you know, here's a video of me shoveling out a footing, you know, that's full of mud. And I'm not ashamed to show that that's what it took to get to the nice stuff.
I come from like I was fortunate enough, like you, to come from a family that was involved in masonry. I got to learn how to drive a forklift when I was like 8 years old, you know. Our family was block manufacturers. We had actually got my name, Lindsay, from Lindsay Concrete Products in San Bernardino, which was our family business.
Nice.
So we would sell the block to the masons, you know. So I've always been surrounded by masons, construction guys, and just I don't think in my life I have been around some of the just toughest dudes that there is. And something you said a second ago that really just like rings true across the board. It's like these are the guys that make everything around us go. You know, whether it's building a building or, like you said, sweeping up this or fixing a clogged pipes or laying new pipes or whatever. It's like the underappreciated jobs, but that really make our whole life so great.
Yeah. Well, and to touch on kind of what you said earlier is, but there's so many, you know, men out there that can't fix a toilet, to where, you know, I have buddies that their employees as plumbers, they own a plumbing company, their employees make well over $100,000 a year plus commission. Yeah. So there's always going to be some type of job that's too dirty that somebody doesn't want to do. And if you got the willingness, guess what? You get to charge a lot to do that job. Yeah. And I know you said the shift is kind of going more towards blue collar now. I think we're still quite a ways away from like schools preaching it, but the fact that the schools preach college so much means that all those jobs are washed out. There's so many people and there's so many candidates for these, you know, degreed jobs that they're paying less. How many people are signing up to go fix septic tanks? There's not that many. Yeah. So you want to charge $150, $200 an hour to fix a septic tank? You can, because there's not that many people that are willing to do it. Yeah. So if you want the big money and you are okay and enjoy working with your hands, you know, obviously find something that you love. You know, I did concrete and masonry for years, and I do have a special love for it, but I got burnt out of it. And that's why I shifted to different types of construction. But if you find something that you love, like, dude, milk that for all the money you can get. Because it's there. Yeah. It's definitely there.
Like you said, like there's an expectation that you're going to go to college, and then people, like when you talk to people about like, well, oh man, I'm so glad, like it was the best experience of my life. It's like, but why? And then they always tell you like partying, or like a lot of social aspects of college.
Yeah, so I met my best friends.
I met my wife in college, you know? And it's like, that's really cool, man. But like, you're up to your eyeballs in debt now. And those are a lot of experiences that you could have got, like, you know, putting in some hours and then like go to the bar after work or something. Right. You know, you didn't have to like pay someone to do that. Like
exactly.
And we actually had a really good conversation a few days ago about like what the future looks like financially for a lot of people. And you know, with now where you have these young people starting their lives already, you know, 100 grand, 200 grand behind. Right. And then, well, what you got to buy a car, right? Well, what about a house? You got to buy a house. So then now they're like almost $1 million in debt before they've even started. Yeah. And so I think the future is not how much you have, but how much you don't owe. That's like the flex of the future.
I like that a lot.
You know, and it's already happening, right? Where you have, you know, blue collar people that are like, dude, I make 90 grand and the only more debt I have is my house. Like, versus like you're over here scraping by at the DMV and you got a psychology degree. Oh yeah. And like, oh wow, dude, you're making $40 an hour. Like, great. But you know, 2/3 of that goes to the bank to pay your debts. And it's like, I see, especially like I'm one of like the older cousins in my very, very extensive Pacific Islander and Mexican family.
Okay. So
I see these like my younger cousins, and like now I have nieces and nephews and stuff that are going off to school. And you see them and you're like, oh yeah, like I don't know what I want to do yet, but I'm just gonna go to SDSU. And it's like, oh dude, like you're paying tens of thousands of dollars to figure out what you want to do with your life. It's like maybe figure it out first, you know, or go get a job.
Right.
Like go work, even if it's just at McDonald's. Like get paid, just figure yourself out, and then you realize like, hey, I really want to be a dentist or something, you know?
Right. Well, and I don't think that schools give enough opportunities. I know when I was in high school, the only thing they had was auto shop. Yeah. And every year they were trying to get rid of auto shop.
Yep.
For whatever reason, the district's like, oh, we don't need this. And I'm like, no, like, I don't want to be a mechanic. Like, it's not for me, but I took it because I enjoy working with my hands. But there's guys that are in there that this is their only shot in life,
right,
is to be a mechanic. And they need that, and they'll do great at that. But if we take that out of schools, they're never going to have that experience to know this is what I want to do for a living. So I think schools by at least like 10th grade ought to have options for you to kind of try out. You need to start figuring this out sooner because, it's the same thing. You end up in college for 4 years. I'm sure it's a great party that I missed out on, and even then I didn't really miss out on it because my buddies went there. So like after work, everything happens at night anyway, you know? Yeah. So I can go after work. But yeah, like I feel like people either go for the party, which if you got rich parents, great, and they're paying for it, cool. You partied for 4 years, wasted your time, but at least you're not in debt. Or you do it and you're in debt, which is a horrible decision. Like the amount of people that come out of college with like communications degrees. Yeah. Like, what are you doing with that? Or French literature. Yeah. Like, other than teaching French literature, what does that degree do for you? Nothing. Yeah. And the amount of people that'll flaunt like their master's degree in French literature. Like, you went back for another 4 years of that? Yeah. Like, it's so much money to spend for a piece of paper that, again, if it works for you, it works for you. But I've seen a lot of pieces of paper that don't mean anything. Or you got that degree and you do something completely different with your life, but that debt still stays there. Right. Yeah. And, you know, I'm all for you should pay for your own school and your debt. And I think college costs too much. I agree on that. But, like, nobody's going to pay that for you, nor can you go expecting anybody to pay that for you. So you need to know, like, going in, and I get it at 18, it's hard to understand that, like, $200,000 doesn't just go away. That takes a lot of years to pay off. Yeah. But that's a house, you know, not here, but, you know, somewhere. Oh, yeah, that's a house, you know.
It's a down payment here.
Yeah. And luckily, you know, starting work in, like, 11th grade, I was able to save up money right out of high school. I just went full bore construction, busted my butt. 2008, 2009 happened. The housing market collapsed, but I had some money in the bank. So I bought a house. Yeah. And
dude, huge.
Yeah.
Huge
while everybody else,
right there.
yeah, while everybody else is in like year 2 of college, again, wasting money. Like I was already in a house building equity. Yeah. And it's just like, you know, it's tough to preach to the people that are so into college. And again, like I'm not anti-college, but like nobody's preaching the other side. And that's what I've always wanted to do with my YouTube channel is be that guy that can preach the other side. Yeah. And hey, there is another life. Like, let me lead by example, and I'm going to show you. You know, I could have given up construction a long time ago. YouTube would fully support me. The Work4 brand would fully support me. But that's not who I am. Like I said, I was pouring concrete for 12 hours yesterday. Not because I had to, but because I enjoy it, and I want to stay true to my roots, and I want to show people that, like, I'm not just all talk. Yeah. And it's all about authenticity, and I want to show you guys that, like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm nothing special. In fact, there's probably people that work a lot harder than I do out there. Like, just go for it. You have to just go for it.
Definitely. Dude, I love that, man. Just preaching that side. Like, there is no counter to, you know, really promoting that blue collar work. And, you know, coming back to masculinity is something that we really try to foster here amongst our brand and our community. You had mentioned a while ago just like how really masculinity has been under attack forever. And specifically when we look at like the blue collar work, it has kind of been like, why would you want to do that? You don't want to be a truck driver, like a truck driver, construction worker is like the worst job you could possibly have. But the thing that's amazing about it is there's an unlimited upward ceiling in some of these. Yeah, you got to start from the bottom and work your way up. Right. But you could then become a general contractor and have a massive firm, really, if you wanted to go that route. But that's getting away from where I'm trying to go here, but tying it back to the masculinity of it, I think that's something that's like harnessed in blue collar work. Like there's no getting around that. And sure, women can do some of these jobs as well, but it is very a masculine industry.
Right.
And there's a lot of men out there just need to get some of that. You know, I feel like it's one of the biggest things that's like lacking in our culture right now is just strong, badass men.
Right.
We've been attacked for so long, dude.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're very vocal about that in your YouTube videos
Right.
and stuff. So I know you probably got an opinion on it that I think would be important to hear. So like, what are some of your thoughts on, you know, how masculinity holds up in blue collar, but you know, what can we do as men to further promote it?
It's tough, and I mean, you're definitely right. And what's crazy is I actually have like a lot of women that I know that are jumping into the trades, and it's like super rad. And I'm like, yeah, you know, girl power. But then at the same time, there is something inherently masculine about it, and I think that's what I like about it. I mean, you know, look at who looks the most masculine right now, sitting on the couch. It's the guy wearing the boots and the blue jeans. Like, there's just something about like there's something super manly about that, and like. There's no other feeling in the world than busting your ass all day and then getting home and being like, yeah, we did that. Like, we pulled that shit off today. And that's what I love about construction. And I'll never get past that. You know, we had a bunch of stuff go wrong on our concrete pour yesterday. But the fact that you get a bunch of dudes that nobody's sitting around complaining, nobody's like, oh, is there a way to write this up, or you know, somebody gonna come in and you know figure this out for us? Like, no, it's a bunch of dudes that like just brute force wise we came together and we overcame it.
Willpower.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you want to meet some pretty sketchy badass dudes, you jump onto a construction crew, you know, and you'll see more face tats and neck tattoos. But these dudes are also like not 58-pound rappers, you know, like these dudes will snap you in half. But they're like the most wholesome, real dudes. Like it's the weirdest like thing to explain to anybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, I think. And I think that there's definitely a lot of like socially constructed issues here where like you said, like it's not cool to be the fixer anymore. Like,
right.
You know, now it's like what people desire now is to be the person that can just like sign a check, like, yeah, here, fix my toilet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, we need a new sink. Like, well, I'll call a guy for that. I can afford that. You know, and there's like that.
Be the guy and take the money.
Yeah,
who knows how to fix this sink?
But like there is this like exquisite like satisfaction of like, oh shit, like the garbage disposal went out. Yeah, I'll just go buy a new one, and then we'll just put it in. You know, and like, oh yeah, I fixed the whatever the other day, and like, oh look, it actually looks better now, you know? And like that is so fulfilling like that's like self-efficacy.
Oh yeah.
And I think that there are people that they don't like, that doesn't appeal to them, and I don't see them as like being wrong. I just see them as like, well, like, sure, I see the humanity in you, like I'm not more or less than you are, but that's your tribe over there,
right?
And I'm going to associate with these type of people where like I'm going to manifest my own destiny, and I'm just going to sit around and like fucking cry about it when something goes wrong. Or like you have these people that there's like a mental illness, and like they're always the victim of everything.
100. Like, you just hit on the nation's biggest problem right there.
Yep. And it's like something that honestly doesn't even really affect you. Like, oh well, I need to take a data I'm gonna take an emotional. Don't get me wrong. Like I've been.
How about you guys took an emotional day yesterday? Solve the concrete.
Yeah, and like
we're gonna go cry under the tree while somebody fixes this for us.
I totally believe in mental wellness, but like I think there's a misconception of what mental wellness is, right?
Right.
And it's like, you know what fucking cures depression, dude? Hard work.
100%.
Not cure. Let me rephrase that. You know what can really help with depression or like feeling bad about or self-loathing? Like, dude, go dig a hole or something. Like, do some hard work. You know what? Like, clean the garage, bro. Like, do something, make your space better, right?
Right.
And you have these people that they just like, oh, like, well, this thing broke, and oh man, like, and it's like, dude, the amount of time you just spent bitching about it, you could have just went to Home Depot, bought the new one, and just swapped it out.
Well, what's crazy is it's kind of like, remember when you were in school and somebody got a cast, and everybody signed that cast, and there's always that one person that's like, man, I really wish I had a cast, because look at, man, that guy got everything signed. So I'm a huge proponent of mental health as a real thing. because I experienced it in 2016, and to this day I still battle it. Had never battled it in my life. I was always in the rough, tough construction world where like you don't talk about it.
Yeah, right.
And everybody there seems like everything's great because, you know, real men don't talk about it. Is how I grew up, and I never knew what it was. And when it hit me, I was like, holy shit, like what is this? I'm dying. Yeah. And what's crazy is I didn't work for a month, which is like, that doesn't happen to me. I couldn't get off the couch. I didn't eat for 7 days. Like depression hit me hard. Panic attacks hit me hard. Everything hit me hard. And what pulled me out of it was I finally like pulled my bootstraps up and I'm like, dude, I'm either going to sit here and die on this couch. You know, I'm too scared to kill myself, but I'm going to sit here and like die on this couch, or like I got to fight. And there's something about that masculinity that like I had to fight to save my own life. Nobody was going to come rescue me. You know, my mom was there trying to cooking me meals, trying to save me and like feed me, but like nobody knew what was going on because we've never experienced that. My family's never experienced that. I've never experienced that. Nobody could tell me what was happening. Yeah. And it was one of those things. It's like fight or flight, and either you just give up and you sit there and you cry and then you slowly die this weird death, or it's like, no, like I'm going for it. And I fought back and I started going to the job sites, and one day at a time, like I said, busting your butt, spending an entire day kicking your own ass, digging holes, whatever it may be. Like you, all of a sudden your sleep schedule's back. Like you can sleep again, and you're not up all night worrying, and there's not all this weird stuff going on in your head. Like you have to mentally break yourself. And then the gym is the same way. Like it's a form of mentally break. You know, if you don't want to dig holes and you work in an office all day, go kick your own ass in the gym, right? And that'll change you. But it's definitely a thing, man. And that victimhood that everybody's claiming, like it became cool to be a victim. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. It's the thing.
Right. Like I'm not against, there's a lot of people out there that are in really dark places, and I totally get that. Yeah. But so many people try to glob on to that group to where it's like, well, he got all the attention because he did whatever, or, you know, he's going through something right now. And look at all the Instagram comments he's getting when he posts these like cryptic dark posts on Instagram. Right. I want that too.
How hard their life is or whatever.
Yeah.
It sucks for the real victims too.
I hate that, bro. Because as somebody that has gone through it, when I see that stuff where it's cool to be depressed, you know what you didn't see me posting? How depressed I was on Instagram. Nobody knew other than like you were in my 3 immediate circle of people that knew I was going through it, because I'm not doing it for the whatever. And I never even talked about it for years, but I saw that there was that lack of people talking about it. So hopefully somebody else could see me talk about it and be like, hey man, I you know, you go through it every day still, but I beat it. Like I'm not dead, you know? So it's a real thing. And I think it does need to be talked about, but one of the cures is like, you got to fight. Like you got to have that willingness just to go kick life's ass, or it's going to kick your ass.
Now, when you were in that dark place, did you have like a voice within that was kind of telling you like, hey, we need to do something, like we need to take this step? Like, was there something
it took a while for that
you had to listen to, like you found it and you started listening to it? Or what?
It was closer to like the end of me pulling out, is where I'd been dealing with it for like a solid month and a half. Like I said, didn't go to work, stayed on my couch all day, like would walk around the neighborhood like the old man, you know, like just like shuffling my feet. And at the like when it first started, I had no clue what was going on, and I'm just like slowly feel like I'm dying. And then towards the end, I was like, dude, I can't give up. Like this ain't it. I got a lot of stuff I want to do in life. And that's when that inner voice was like, fight, just fight. And every day was a fight. And I would look back every day and be like, dude, remember like 2 days ago, I couldn't even go to the store without having a panic attack. And look, bro, like you went to the store 3 times this week and like you didn't even think about it.
Little wins
every day. And yeah, I mean, it's gotten me here. You know, I still have like weird anxiety. I used to never have a problem with airplanes. You can't get me on an airplane now. I went on the chairlift at the fair on Saturday. I almost had a panic attack. That one was weird, but little stuff that I used to always be able to do, I can't really do as much of now, but you still got to get out there and, you know, you re-gear your life a little bit.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of stock being put in people that like, they don't want to fix it. They just want to sit there and bitch about it. And there's more clout in being like the victim now. Not to say that there aren't like actual victims, of course there are, but then you see the people that like, the amount of like love and support and like honestly kind of like false praise that a lot of victims get. People are doing it because they get clout by like showing how supportive they are, right?
Praying for you.
Yeah, like thoughts and prayers, like, and it's like, oh great, dude. Yeah, good thing you fucking tweeted at me, because like I feel so much better now.
Exactly.
And but then there's this thing that happens, and I think it's just in our nature as we are like these human creatures. Like we get so much praise for being the victim that you don't want it to end. That all of it, because if you fix it, like if you get out of this rut, or if you break free of like your oppression or whatever, then you won't get, like, no one's going to be sitting there like cheerleading you anymore.
Right.
And so you have these people that there's more stock in just being broken forever, like being the victim forever, and like, well, this society and this and that, or like, oh, I'm in so much fucking debt because of school, and like, well, dude, like, what are we gonna do about it?
Right.
Because if the answer is nothing, then I'm out. Like, I can't. But you know, if you need help, like, I can help you. But if you're not gonna help yourself, then I'm not gonna wipe your ass for you, man.
There's this little Venn diagram. Everybody can Google it, and it's a chart, and it says, "Is there something wrong? Yes. Can you do anything about it? Yes. Then don't worry about it. Is there something wrong? No. Don't worry about it. Is there something wrong? Yes. Can you do anything about it? No. Then don't worry about it." Like, if you can fix it, fix it. If you can't fix it, move on.
Yeah.
Like, I've literally based my life on that Venn diagram. So like, it's a real thing, but it's, people don't want to fix it because there is such, like, I hate to say everybody's chasing social media clout. Like, I'm blessed to be where I'm at, to where I can post a picture and I get enough likes and comments to where I'm like, oh, I feel loved. And people chase that thinking it's real. It ain't real. Like, it's not the thoughts and prayers. Like, I don't think that many people are sitting down praying for you that night, you know, that your dog Scooter, you know, broke his leg. Like, I don't think that's happening, but people want that affirmation. Then people feel good giving that affirmation, and all it's doing is perpetuating it and making it worse, to where, everybody wants to be a victim. I mean, you got all these like weird rapper kids out there that are also like, oh, my life sucks, I'm so depressed, so I'm gonna rap about it. And then that became cool, and then that became like role models to these kids. And I don't understand it, man. Like, it's,
I don't understand. And to me, the counter, I'm with you on that, like the whole rapper scene and all the drugs and everything, it's so gnarly. But the counter, like, to this whole victim stuff is, like, I do think you can share your wins, your big wins in life, the things that you like work for hard in silence, and when you achieve it, like, share that. And you're gonna get that same praise, like, but for actually accomplishing something fucking awesome, you know?
But that's too hard.
Right. But what I'm saying, that the solution, or like what you could do watching or listening right now, is just, if you ever have, like, share your win and watch what happens. If you feel compelled to like share something about how hard your life is, just hold that off. Like, go fix the problem, go accomplish the thing, go achieve it, something, share that, and then watch. It's 10x better. And then you're going to have some momentum. You're going to feel like, damn, I'm going to go on the next thing, and then the next thing.
Exactly.
And like, going back to what you said about how you pulled yourself out, like those small wins, building that momentum, then that builds the confidence. Now you got some more confidence, and now you're like, I could, you know, eventually get to a point where, like, now you're doing kind of things that where you were in your dark place weren't even seeming like possible, right?
Right.
But you didn't just go from dark to there. It was all those little steps up, and all of those are little wins to get to that point of like, dude, I'm freaking out of it here.
Well, and then I think you get more validity that way when you come out with your full story at the end, which, like I said, when I was depressed and there was no like, yeah, man, skies were a little dark today, you know, here's me on the couch, you know, not moving again. Like, no, none of that got shared. Once I pulled my ass out of that and then decided, okay, I'm ready to talk about it. Like, I showed you guys that I survived it and I won. So same thing, like, don't show all the little struggles. Show once you've won, but then talk about what it took to get there. Totally. And you have so much more validity at that point. It's not just for clout. It's not just to get the praise or anything like that. You're showing, like, and I've always done it with my YouTube channels, I want to show you that you can too. So you know, you see the rappers, you see everybody, it's all the flashy money, it's all this and that, and you don't see the backside with the drug addiction or whatever it may be, you know, the 14 babies mamas, or, you know, the fact that we're in court 6 times a week because we're getting sued or anything like that. You don't see any of that. It's all the flashy stuff. And nobody ever talks about that full story until somebody dies. And then you get the real story and you're like, oh man, that dude was really cool. Like, it sucks that we didn't know that at the time, or whatever it may be. But I wish more people would give the good side of the story versus, like, you just see like this perfectly, you know, propped up thing, like this is the greatest guy in the world, or this is the greatest lifestyle in the world, not knowing all the back end stuff that goes to it. And nobody's going to look for that, because you want to live in the, like, oh, this is perfect, I wish I was like that.
Totally. And man, the the validity you're talking about, that is at that point now, instead of people, you know, you're going to get praised for like, dude, that's so badass, you did that. But there's also going to be someone in there that you just inspire confidence in. And you could, that's where you change someone else, you know, like, oh man, he did all that, I'm going to do it, you know, and they start trying to get their wins going. That's just the way, that's the way to do it.
And that's one of the things, I don't know if you guys have seen, like, so I don't drink or do drugs or anything. It's just never been my thing. So I also don't shove that down people's throats. Like, listen, you live your life, I'm going to live my life. As long as, you know, as long as you're not a crackhead showing up on my front door trying to kick in my door, like, I don't care what you do, you know, like, I'm going to live in my world. However, growing up, like, you look at the rock stars, you look at the rappers and all that stuff that we had as kids to look up to as role models. And there's not that many good people out there, you know, like the giant Uber celebrities that we had to look up to. So me as a kid coming up in high school, that, you know, I'd still go out to all the cool parties and all that, but I never drank and never did drugs. And I'd still hang out and I'd still have a good time, but I never had that role model that I could look up to that was also doing it but made it. Yeah. So kind of one of the things I want to do, and again, without shoving it down people's throats, but hopefully to be like that voice for one or two kids out there that, you know, hopefully thinks I'm cool enough to be like, hey, maybe, like, I don't have to. You know, I know all my friends are pressuring me and all that, but maybe I don't have to. Yeah. You know, and that's been one of my bigger, like, underlying goals that I don't really talk about that much, but I kind of slip it in there from time to time. It's phenomenal. With the channel, is to hopefully be that role model to somebody as well, because it just didn't exist for me at the time in terms of, like, celebrities or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, way to go.
This kind of makes me think of, I think it's eventually this is going to probably be a blog that I put up on the website.
Oh, you heard that. Sicario coming out of the blog. All right.
I'm putting it in concrete there. But it's the subtle art of being a good dude. Right? That's what I call it.
I like that.
Where it's like like now with the rise of the influencer and like Mr. Beast and like all these massive, I mean, you're pretty successful on YouTube yourself, and like people see these like micro idols is how I think of them. And they want to be that, like oh my God, I want to influence, I want to have 100,000 subscribers. And but to me, it's like, I think Jordan Peterson said, if you want to change the world, make your bed first. Right. And so how can, you know, I'm a man, I'm masculine, so I can only speak from my experience. So thinking about other men, it's like, how are you going to go and like be a leader or an influencer or otherwise have this like clout over other people when like you can't even be good to the people around you? Right. You know, like you can't feed someone, you can't provide them, you know, maybe it's emotional support. It could be financial support, it could be intellectual support. That's a big one. If you can't offer those three basic things to someone else, and it doesn't have to be all of them, but just you can't hit like one of those markers to the people immediately accessible to you, what the fuck are you doing being an influencer? Right. You know, like it's like these motivational speakers, but like their only success in life is being a motivational speaker. It's like, why would I listen to you, man?
Yeah. That comes back to the authenticity, right? You had to have built something to really have I feel like a big impact. Or the people who are building stuff, look at those type of speakers like, dude, this guy, what's he even saying?
Usually, you can spot that stuff from a mile away.
Yeah, and that's one thing I like about your just general presence. I don't want to call it brand because that just feels gross to say, especially in this day and age.
His big mana.
Yeah, but like your overall like presence online, you built the things first. Like you did good for yourself first. Right. And then it's like, okay, look at all this shit I did. And I'm not like some super genius. I didn't have like a trust fund. Right. You know? It's like, no, look, I built this. I worked for it. There you go. You know? And then when someone watches that, it's like, oh shit, that's a nice house. Like, oh, look at that freaking truck, man. Like this dude has a ranch. Wow. And it's like, yeah, like I worked for it. Right. You know? And that to me is like the art of being a good dude. Right. And it's like, man, so I'm part Pacific Islander, and so my family comes from Guam. And like food is like huge. Like if someone comes to your house, like you have to feed them. Yeah. Or if vice versa, if you go to someone's house, like you're not leaving without eating something. And it's part of that is like I want to nourish you. Like I care about you. I want to feed you. I want to put more life, what we call mana, which is like life force. It's like I want to put more life force in you because I want you to keep happening, existing. That's awesome. And so I think about that, not just with culinary, but like in any possible iteration. Like if, you know, I'm going to hang out with my buddy later on today, and it's like, what can I do just to bring more joy in this guy's life? Like maybe it's just hangs. Like we're going to have cigars today.
Yeah.
And like, you know what, just spending a couple hours with my homie having cigars and, hey bro, how was work today? You know?
Right.
Or, you know, someone calls me, hey dude, I need help moving my refrigerator. Like, dude, I'm there. Let's go. You know? But
well,
like,
and that's so missing right nowadays in society. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that there's this art of like practicing, like just being a fucking good dude.
Mm-hmm.
That it could be anything, you know, like my elderly neighbor, hey, do you need your grass cut?
Right.
Like anything. Just and I tell people like, dude, as a man, like what, sure, you're Mr. Tough Guy, like you're a protector, cool, but what else do you provide other than that?
Right.
Because I could buy a dog that can do the protecting, you know?
Yeah.
Or like my buddy, you know, Colt in the safe can help me with that too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, what do you provide other than just being a meathead?
Right.
And I think that a lot of men could benefit from that, of just like, okay, let me examine. That's something I've been doing a lot lately, is like kind of meditating on what kind of effect I have to the people around me. And so like literally I've texted people like, hey, do I like bring joy in your life? Or like, do you feel like you could count on me?
Yeah.
You know? Stuff like that. And just and that kind of feedback is so important. And I feel like a lot of dudes are scared to know that.
Oh, 100%.
Scared of what the answer might be. Like, what if someone says no? And it's like, well, dog, then you got to look in the mirror and fix yourself.
Well, and that's the problem, is somebody's going to hear that no and then be like, oh, that sucks. And then like just go about life the same freaking way they've been going about life.
Oh, well, that means I'm a scumbag. It's like, no, you could fix it. Like,
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
I was like going, especially last night, like I was kind of going through your videos and stuff. I really love the what I do for a living one.
Appreciate that.
I know that's like one of your.
I was a little early, so I should probably redo that one day.
No, it was great, dude.
Dude,
it was
dope
great.
though. You cover all the bases in that. Like,
that's what really made me think last night was like, this is like the art of being a good dude.
Yeah.
And like self-reliance.
I like that.
You know.
And if I could touch on that real quick, one of my things with like, they say it's lonely at the top. Like I've never wanted to like just be this shining star by myself. So all my buddies, all my homies in the group, if you got a business or an idea, like I've always tried to help them. Like, let's make that real.
Yeah.
Like, not for monetary gain for myself. I don't want to buy into your stuff. Let's just make that real for you.
Yeah.
And then you get to see, like, you know, we're sitting here on a Tuesday and I was able to just come hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I work for myself. Like, that's a cool feeling. I want my homies to all feel like that.
Definitely.
So I've had a couple buddies, you know, we've got our buddy that does barbecue, and like, you know, I've done what I could to help, you know, kind of pimp him out to where like that dude's busy, you know, 7 days a week now, crushing it. Obviously he's doing all the work, but like, let me help what I can do to help you, you know. Oh, you need to build a website? Like, I've done it, you know, let me help you build your website. I'll
Here's
show you how to
step one,
do,
like,
I'll show you how to do e-commerce. I'll show you how to ship. I'll help ship the stuff out of my warehouse, you know. One of my other buddies, you know, he was working on trucks, and I'm like, bro, I got a space in a rack. Like, bring your toolbox. Let's go. Like, let's get you started. Like, let's keep it going. And I want all my homies to be able to, like, we sit in a space like this, you know, and like, yeah, man, we all did it. You know, like that's always been my thing, is to be able to somehow help them. And I love your little, what'd you call it? What was the
subtle art of being a good dude?
Yeah, I love that, dude. Like, that is rad. I like that a lot. And that's, we need to get that message out there.
And I that whole sentiment about like, it's lonely at the top. It's only lonely if like you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like you didn't like, to me, being at the top is like, dude, now we all get to eat.
Right.
You know, that to me is a mindset. Like, it's lonely up there. It's like, well, how many people did you fail on the way up?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know the movie Rob Roy by chance?
I have not seen it.
Oh, it's a good one, man. And Liam Neeson's in it. It's like a Scottish like folk kind of thing. It's great like masculine movie. Anyway, there's a scene where Liam Neeson's talking to his two sons, and I think they're talking about honor. And so one of his sons like, what is honor? And he's like, honor is a gift that a man gives to himself. You know, like self-respect.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't work hard, you don't respect yourself, man. You know, if you're not good to other people, that's because that's like how shitty you are to someone else. That's how you feel about that's the lack of love that you have inside.
Right.
You know? And And I just feel like even just like the little subtle things you see guys like they don't, you know, they're like, oh, I fuck this job, that's why I don't do it, I don't work hard here because I don't want to be here. And it's like, then what makes you think you're gonna go somewhere else and do a better job then?
Right.
You know,
I'll pay me more money, I'll do a better job.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, exactly.
So I was a reconnaissance Marine, right? And like it's like there's not 20 Marines in a squad, there's like 4 or 6 dudes, so everyone's position matters. You know, if there's 4 of you and one guy's a shithead, then that's 25% of your power gone. Right. And so it's a constant, like, what am I bringing to the table? And it's like, oh, you're not a hard worker. Like, well, dude, if I can't trust you with something that is like low risk, like what makes you think I'm going to trust you with something that's high risk?
Exactly.
Or like that really matters. It's really good. Like if we're on a job site and I can't trust you with the smallest task, then why would I trust you with a big task?
Right.
You know, and I think that a lot of guys, like, I'm not an owner of the Longhairs, but like I make sure that everything I do, like we touched before the show started, we touched on like how for you, even like the way the tape is placed on the box,
right?
That's me. Like that resonated with me because I'm like, dude, like sometimes I'll have guys like help me if I just can't keep up. I'll have guys like help me build boxes, or hey, can you put more hairbrushes in the bags, like whatever we need. And I'll notice like little details, and it's like, dude, all of these are taped crooked. Like, just take one more second to do, like, to pay, you know.
Right.
And I'm not going to be a dick about it because like they're helping me.
Exactly.
Right. But at the like, to me, I notice those little things. It's like, no. The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that.
It all matters.
The line he always says is, "There's always enough time to do it right."
There's always enough time to do it right.
There you go. Yeah.
You know? And one thing that like we talked about recently, I don't know if you saw, we have a whiteboard and we have a countdown to Black Friday.
Okay.
So that's like, as you know, as a person with your clothing business,
right.
Black Friday is like, that's it. Like that's the Super Bowl. Yeah. You know? And I have a countdown and it's like, it's coming. Are we going to be ready? Right. And then we had a meeting when we were, I think it was technically like 183 days. But I said, hey, Black Friday's in 180 days, right? Because if we're 3 days out, you're either prepared or you're not.
Right.
So I said, we have 180 days until Black Friday. And that means that every day you could do 1% more from now until it gets here. And then we could be in a whole different direction, right? 180 degrees.
There you go.
Right. And so this is a long-winded way for me to go full circle into like how you were kind of in a rut.
Right.
And it's like, hey, I don't have to like get off this couch and walk out the door and I got all my shit together, right? But it's like, hey, today I'm going to do 1% different, you know? And then 6 months from now, which is 180 days for those of you that are, you know, mathematically challenged. I'm not wrong, right?
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
We'll go close enough.
180 days from now, if you did 1% different every day, you could be a whole different man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know? And that, just thinking of it that way, like, man, that's only 6 months from now. For some people, it's like, oh, that's 6 months from now.
Right.
You know, and it's like, okay, put freaking Instagram down with or TikTok, God forbid, and look outside. You see that? That took billions.
Eventually, though, it comes down to what is that work or thing or the 1%, what is it that you're going to implement? And it comes back to discipline in whatever it is that you're going to do. I mean, if you weren't consistent with your YouTube uploads, your channel wouldn't be where it's at.
Right.
Work for it wouldn't be where it's at. Yeah. You know, who knows? But like those things that we are disciplined in, that discipline over time then creates that success that comes your way, right?
Well, and what's crazy is when you're like shooting to build something.
Yeah.
Those 6 months are so fast, and I'm sure you guys see it like, holy crap, it's already Christmas time. Like,
right.
It goes so fast when you're actually working towards something versus sitting on your couch playing video games, and it's like, oh yeah, in 3 months this is going to happen. That's going to be forever. Whereas guys like us, it's like, holy crap, dude, we only got 3 months. Like, we need to start now. Like, let's go.
Exactly.
Let's go. We're late. You know, like we got to get moving, and time goes so much faster when you're building it. But when you're sitting there thinking about 6 months, you're like, oh, that's forever. I'll start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, let me get on that tomorrow.
Then that turns into I'll start tomorrow. And then that's a month gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Burned. A month at a time.
Yeah. Exactly. And you can't get that back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more things you do in life, the more you realize how important it is to start early on whatever it is
yeah.
that you're doing, you know?
Yeah. And there's so many, I'm full of analogies, but it's like, okay, if there's a small fire in your kitchen, are you just, I'll wait till it's like a good size, and then I'll grab the extinguisher.
Right.
No, dude, like it's on fire. Like let's now do it now.
Yeah.
It's such a right now it's a cup. Throw a cup of water on it and it's out.
Well, that's like a thing. Well, that I like that a little bit because that's a like force act. Like when you see that, it's like, shit, I got to do something about this right now. You know, like there's a fire. But like what you're talking about, you know, you got this thing that's 3 months out, and just like even the assumption that it's even gonna happen. The way you like, oh yeah, this thing's gonna happen in like 3 weeks or a month. I'll be ready, you know, I'll prep up a couple days before. Like,
right,
dude, you should be working up to it so that you're so ready when it comes versus trying to just whatever, slide through, sloppily get through it.
Yep.
And then you feel like crap after because you probably get your ass kicked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Dude, let's shift gears just a little bit. This is awesome. We're having a killer conversation, but got to just hit on the hair a little bit. I've always wondered this because you never talk too much on your YouTube or your Instagram about the hair.
Yeah.
You've had it forever now. It's been years, right?
It's been about 6 years. Yeah.
What's the hair story?
That's a good question, man. So I've always had like short hair, right?
Okay.
High school, it was just, you know, a number 2 all over, which is probably like a sin in this place. But it was just like simple, easy. You know, I'm not like the most preppy dude that knows how to do hair. Like that's not me. And once I got out of high school, probably about like 20, 22, 23, I started letting my hair grow like to where it was kind of stylable. But every time I go to the barber, I'd be like, I don't know, do whatever you want. Like, I don't, you know, it's going to look good as I walk out of here. And then I'm not going to know how to do anything with it.
Sure.
Come
like, back in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is cool. But like, I don't know. Like, what if I grew it out? You know, I've never had long hair in my life. My dad had long hair when he was younger. You know, there's like these old pictures of him. And I'm like, let me just try it, you know? And then it quickly turned into this like glorious flow that everybody loved. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, maybe they'll love it more when it's 6 inches longer than that, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I just ran with it. I guess I realized I had pretty nice hair, and I'm like super attached to it now. Like I've had nightmares of like deciding I was cutting it off, and it was instant regret.
Dude,
like,
it's so
in that
funny.
nightmare.
Like, almost every guest we've had on here and we talk about hair or whatever, they all bring up the nightmare.
Really?
Thing. Like everyone has that nightmare. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, but I don't know, like you don't see me without a hat very often, just because like I can't stand it in my face. And you know, to the women out there that can do that every day, props to you guys, because I cannot. So, and even right now, like it's a little toasty in here, you know, having it down's a little warm with this neck sweater I got going on, but like it's a part of me now, you know, and I've learned to enjoy it and I've learned to love it. And
definitely
it's, you know, I think it's pretty nice.
Yeah. We get a lot of just DMs, questions, and like that's what we're here for. Like that to me, that's like, oh, it's working. Like people trust us, you know?
We found that missing part in the market for men. You know, was that no one's talking about being a dude with long hair.
And we have quick tips, by the way, on the website.
Yeah,
y'all's, if you
check that out.
That yet. But
you don't need to be a hair expert. All you need to know is the quick tips.
And a very common question, or not question, but like a thing we get is like, like, I don't know, I'm struggling. I kind of want to cut it. It's hot, or I'm in the awkward stage. It doesn't look good yet. And so I always tell people, okay, this is like that Venn diagram, right? It's like, okay, not even that, but it's like, think of it as a ratio. How many days does this hair bring me joy versus how many days on average do I want to cut it?
Right.
If you lean more towards like, no, I like it most days, then don't cut it.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't, if you have way more days where your hair just like doesn't make you happy, then cut it. Like it's not a big deal.
Right.
Donate it, please. But at the end of the day, it's like my best friend grew, well, actually I have 2 best friends. Both of them grew their hair out because of me. It's awesome.
Nice.
But
recruiting.
One of them, he has like really, really like dense, curly, just it doesn't want to go down. It just keeps going like this.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I'm struggling. Like I think he's like, once a week I think about cutting it. And I'm like, dude, do you have like, so what you're telling me is once a week? That's 1 day out of 7. The other 6 days, it's cool, right? But like you're focusing on this like man, my neck sweat or whatever. It's like, yeah, but the other 6 days a week, man, like you feel good, you look good, you know. So I tell people, like, just let it ride, man. Just
Yeah.
keep it, you know?
No, it's yeah. I think I'm attached at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going
Kind of
anywhere.
part of your identity.
It really has,
Yeah.
yeah. And again, you don't see it most of the time. Most of the time, I have it tied up in the back. Like I'm working. I don't want it in my face. It's hot, whatever. But then like I hop out of the shower and I'm like, oh, dude, who's that guy? You know, like I'm still not used to having
It's a hair model right here.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. Like I'm still not used to it, but like I love it, you know, and it gets great reactions. Like, you know, the few times that I have it down, or I go to a wedding or something, and like, you know, it's a little bit done up.
Lets
but
it shine.
It is. But you're one of the few dudes that has long hair, and to kind of talk on like why I have it. Growing up, like my idols had long hair, dude. Like big Kid Rock fan.
Okay.
Like you look at, you know, Charlie Daniels and all those guys growing up, like they always had long hair, and then now they got like sweet white braided ponytails, you know, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be me one day, you know. I wish I can grow a beard like you, because I'd also have the sweet white, you know, braided beard, but I'm lacking that department a little bit. So I make up for it on my head. That's
there you go. There you go.
I've got 3 chest hairs, but quite the thick head of hair.
Just proud of those chest hairs too.
Right?
Dude, so we often talk about like long hair problems, because it's just like, it's part of the deal. You know, you find a hair like wrapped around places down there, or you pull one out of your butt crack or something.
Bro,
weird.
it's like 30 daily, dude.
So what are some of the most like the things to you? You know, have you got it caught in the truck door or something? Like what's the?
I've been caught in a mechanic's creeper before. To where I rolled over, the hair got wrapped up in the wheels, and I just had to sit there while my buddies like slowly got my hair out of the creeper.
No way.
Learned my lesson on that one. Yeah.
Wait, what's a creeper?
It's the little thing like a skateboard you roll around on to get under cars.
Okay.
Yeah. Dangerous with long hair. Very dangerous. But
ouch.
Dude, the butt crack thing, like that gets me on the daily. You'd be amazed at how many hairs find their way into your butt crack. Like
it's
you
shocking.
could try.
Shocking.
Like, you could throw a handful of hair at your butt crack and you won't get it in there. But for whatever reason, like you'll pull out this like I didn't even know I had that much hair like coming out. It's gross, bro.
It is.
I found that out. I found out that typically happens in the shower.
Yeah.
And then you get
So
out of the shower.
Store themselves down in there.
Yeah. I learned that from my wife, actually.
Dude, it's such a weird one. Like,
when you get like, you feel it kind of in your back,
it's
and
like
you pull it, and
like,
you start feeling the slide through the crack.
but then you feel like, you know, like it broke, and you're like, it's still in there. And you don't want to sit there digging for it, you know? So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to try to forget about that for the rest of the day.
I want to come back to this later.
Yeah, or you go to the bathroom, you know, and you got to clean up, and you're like, oh, where'd that go from? Like, there's a whole hairball down there.
How is it working with concrete?
It's not bad. So like I said, I tie it up mostly, but you'll get like, you know, the pump will spray and all of a sudden you get concrete in your hair. But the cool thing about concrete is it's, as long as you don't mess with it, you let it dry, it comes out really easy.
Yeah.
It'll dry the crap up out of your skin, and I'm sure your hair too, but
Okay.
it's not bad. Like I've never really come into a situation where I'm like, man, I hate that I'm in the trades with long hair. You can usually cover it up pretty good. Plus I wear a hat like 99% of the time.
We should do like a guide for like guys in the trades.
That'd be great.
Like, this is what you do with like if you get motor oil, or this is what you could do if you get concrete.
Yeah.
Stuff. That'd be good.
Love that. Have you ever considered like cutting it? No, right? Kind of made that clear earlier.
Yeah. Like there's really, really hot days, but like he was saying, like you enjoy it way more days than you think about cutting it. So anytime I've ever thought about cutting it, it's like the split second. It's like, don't be stupid. Like, remember that nightmare you had where you regretted it instantly? That could be real life. So I trim it every 3 months. We take a couple inches off and then we thin it out. It's quite the full head of hair. I actually just did it like 2 days ago, so I was a little upset.
Smart, just keeping it healthy, right?
Yeah, but I lost a little bit of length, you know, to show up in here. I feel like, you know, I wanted to swing a little more length around on you guys. But I don't foresee it happening anytime soon.
Okay,
that's for sure.
Well, we do an event. Not saying you have to cut your hair at this event, but in 2019, we broke the Guinness World Record for the most hair cut and donated in a 24-hour period.
Nice.
The event is called The Great Cut.
Okay.
We rent out the Port Pavilion downtown, the whole pier and that big building.
Nice.
And it's a full like 15-hour thing, bands, you know, just full-on event. We had 2,800 plus people all donate their hair last time. It's an amazing day, amazing event. And we'll talk later, like, but when we're off here, just down the road as we get a little closer. We're doing the event again in 2024. Would love for work for it to be involved in some way.
Definitely.
You guys just roll out with the crew, whatever. Like,
that'd be rad. You made me nervous about cutting my hair, but that'd be rad.
Yeah.
I'm all about donating. The day it does get cut, it's for sure getting donated.
So at the last event, I shaved my head like #1 all the way down. And it was like down to my waist.
Yeah.
Donated like 26 inches or 25 plus. And it felt, let me just say, it felt unreal. Like the donation and the event was unreal, but then like the days and the next day in the shower, I'm like going to like do, and I'm like, oh, there's no hair here.
Right.
So it took a while to get used to, but I just immediately went to growing it back out.
That's awesome.
And then, I mean, it's kind of easy when you work, your job is in the hair business to grow it back out.
Right.
Do you recall when you were growing it out, like in your field, it kind of seems like it's probably easy too to kind of grow it out because you're outside.
Yeah, we don't have there's no dress code.
No grooming policies. Really.
No, yeah, like there's not a lot of dudes have super long hair, but you know, you get the old timer with the ponytail, and you know, one of our old concrete pumpers, like he used to have that white ponytail when I was growing up. I'm like, that's rad, you know. Yeah. So there is it out there, but yeah, there's like grooming standards are to a minimal on the job site. But it was one of those things like, as it got longer and longer, you're like, you know, talking about masculinity, like it's not masculine to have long hair is what society says. So it's like, here you come around, you know, one of the reasons I started hitting the gym harder, granted it's been a while, guys, if you're looking at me right now, was like, dude, like big bearded long haired Viking dudes, like tell that dude long hair is not masculine. You know, look at this guy, like tell that dude long hair is not masculine. Like it's different, you know. And so yeah, I don't know, it was never really weird. It was just, you know, I adapted to wearing a hat in the weird stages and just let it roll. Yeah.
It is an interesting point about this, like, you know, the last, 100 years kind of long hair on guys has been whatever. You're a hippie or you're kind of out of the norm. But the history, I mean, guys have had long hair for so much longer than this short hair trend. So I'm just happy we're all examples of, you know, you could be kick-ass, man, and have the flow.
Well, and again, like we need more people that are that example and that are that role model. And, you know, whether it's my dumb, goofy self or like one of you guys that like, you look at these guys are cool, man. Like they're having fun, they're living life, and they have this glorious head of hair. And
what's kind of fun, like even talking about your own hair like that, right? Glorious. Yeah, dude. Kind of like going back to what you're talking about, like in the trades, you know, it's like you don't talk about whatever thing. Like that would be something where you're probably not on the job talking about what shampoo, conditioner you use and how to brush it. And hey, dude, feel it, man. I use this new conditioner, you know. But like, what's funny is that it really kind of it opens up that side of masculinity with guys, was kind of a vulnerability thing. Right. Like, hey, be open to talk about this stuff. It's cool, man. Like we could talk about hair and it doesn't need to be weird. It's not, you know,
it's like how much can you open up about like all the chicks you hooked up with on the weekend?
Right.
Like it's so much more personal than the fact that you got long hair or like that you use, you know, XYZ shampoo or whatever, you know, it's a totally different thing. I will say though, like I'm super into like weird sayings and names and all that stuff, and like I'll pick up on like little things that were said, like, you know, in backwoods Appalachia, and like, you know, I'll refer to a nose as like a sniffer, you know, like some random dude did it once and I'm like, that's cool. As soon as I heard like the long hairs, I'm like, dude, that's what's up. So we're like, one of the dudes on the job site now, he like refers to me as a long hair, and I'm like, I love that, like I just love the fact that that's a thing. Like you guys knocked it out of the park. I'm like going like, yeah, dude, we're the long hairs. Like, join the tribe. Let's go.
And it absolutely just encapsulates the tribe, the community. You know, what's funny is we were tagged that name. So when we used to run a digital marketing agency, and we were working for a company called IQ Power Tools. They were like our best.
Okay, yeah.
You heard
of them? Who they are. Oh yeah.
Okay. Have you used any of their saws?
I have not used their saws, but I know of the
Okay, so we had I mean, man, they were our best client. We honestly, this business wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, because they really just believed in us a lot. And we didn't necessarily know exactly what we were doing, but we just busted our ass. We showed up every day and we were trying to make them just the most badass tool company out there. and we learned a ton from the leadership of that business. And we also got to, cut our teeth in marketing and launching products and everything with their support. So it was incredible. But anyway, we would go on tours around the country with them and go to shows like in Kentucky. There's this guy, Paver Pete. Maybe you've heard of him. I don't know, but he's some paver, kind of personality.
Okay.
More so on the East Coast. But so we're in Kentucky, and it was Garv, myself, and Chris, and we're like the film crew, and we're getting guys cutting with the saws and doing all this stuff. And Paver Pete would always refer to us, hey, tell those long hairs, they got to get over here, man. Hey, where the long hairs at? Get them over here. Like, he'd just be screaming the long hairs all the time. And this was when we were considering, like, trying to, like, what is our thing, Yeah. And dude, he coined the name.
That's so awesome.
Because it wasn't until like a couple weeks later, we're like in a meeting with Joel, who at the time was the CEO of the company. He was like, hey man, you guys notice how Paver Pete kept calling you the long hairs? And we were like, yeah, we did, but didn't really think about it like that. We're like, then we're driving home. We're like, dude, the long hairs, that's the freaking name, bro. That is the name.
That's awesome.
That's how we got it. It was from a paver guy.
That's so right. Where's Paver Pete now?
He's still out there doing his thing. I don't know. I haven't really touched base with him. We did send him a package though. Yeah. With our shampoo, like when we first launched our shampoo conditioner, a pack of hair ties, and a thank you note. Just saying, like, Paver Pete, if it wasn't for you, man, the long hairs, maybe.
That's so rad. Well, there you go. It's the backwoods like sayings.
Exactly. Totally.
That's probably the reason I love it so much. Like, that's so rad. I love the name.
Yeah. Kind of wrap up here. I want to circle back to community. Like, something I see a lot on your channel is you and your boys, and I think you really facilitate a great sense of community, camaraderie, and then the authenticity too. And we really try to do the same thing here. But like, how did you guys build that community? Are you just all buddies from, or how'd you come together? What's the deal?
It's kind of natural. Like, I don't know. Like, you attract similar people, and we've done that over the years. Like, I know within 20 minutes of meeting somebody, if it's like, nah, like you're not our kind, like sure. Whatever, you're crying too much, you're complaining, like whatever. Like, there's we've weeded out some people that turned out to not quite be on par with kind of what we
go back to the good dudes, right?
Yeah. So it's like dudes. My main homie Chris you see on the channel, like I've known him since I think I was 15. We met in driver's ed in high school, and like shit talking to him. We were gonna fight, and then that dude's been my solid homie for like 17 years. Like, and then everybody kind of you see on the channel has either been in my life for quite a while, or they're new, but like their personality is just like so rad. Yeah. Like, I don't let a lot of people into my life in terms of like, I'm very private, which is weird with the YouTube channel and all that. But like, you only know what I want you to know, and like. A lot of people back in the day, like I wouldn't let people come to my house, like I don't know you like that to let you into my house. And now our core group is so solid that like, most of my homies have like the code to my front door, and like, like you're welcome to come hang out at my house if I'm not there, same with the shop. All my buddies have keys to the shop, and like go in there, have a good time, hang out. Like, that's our escape from like,
but get some orders out too while you're in
there. Right. Yeah. Feel free to make boxes to keep that tape straight. But yeah, like it's our warehouse became our clubhouse, and I can see your guys is, you guys, it's much cleaner here. But your guys is like, it's the same. Like, that's your escape, whether it's, your girl's bitching at you all day, come hang out with the boys, come vent for a little bit, and then we're going to forget about that, and it's like, that's what I wanted, was that community. And I wanted that circle that you can rely on for anything. After I bought the ranch, we had a fire come through 3 weeks after I bought it. And
and just real quick, like, you should watch these videos. They're on your channel. Do you know what the titles are off chance? Because you have so many videos.
Watching my dream ranch go up in flames.
Okay, that is a fascinating series. I think you did 2 or 3 videos of that day. Those were I went
from never owning a ranch and land and knowing what the heck to do with it to being like, oh, I've also never dealt with my 3/4 of my property burning down
and now
either.
My brand new spot is
we're jumping into this head first. But that day, all my homies came out. Everybody like pitched in together. My buddies were going through the flames with horse trailers, like trying to get our animals out. Like, wow. And dudes that I kind of didn't really know that well at the time. And like, granted, we became real good friends after that. But like, it was that world to where I'm like, you know what, maybe I can rely on people, and it's not all like I have to do everything myself. Like, let me open up my life a little bit more to these people and allow people in. And then it's kind of like running a business. Like, you see, like, hire a production manager, hire a guy that can do all your art. And then it's like, oh, more stuff's getting done because I don't have to do 8 things.
Yes.
And we're being more productive, and we're happier because I'm not stressing the crap out of myself trying to get all this stuff done. And
it's
so
better.
So that community is rad. Like, I wish all my buddies wanted to work for it, you know, but they're all working blue collar jobs. You know, well, my main buddy Chris, he works in construction. My buddy Zach's a mechanic. Like, my buddy Dedic is a mechanic in the Navy. Like, these guys are all core blue collar guys. So by the time we come together at the end of the day, it's like, now we're just hanging out as homies, you know. Like, I don't expect anybody to work, but they all do jump in and help. And you know, it's a rad community, and I'm glad I finally opened my life up to, like, let people help me if that makes sense, or like, we can be there for each other, and it's not all you have to do everything for yourself. Like, it's okay to call one of these dudes and be like, hey man, would you mind helping, you know, and they'll be there, and you're like, oh, that works. Like, that's cool, because that's lacking, you know, in today's world. It's all about me, you know. So people that are actually down to help you, like, kind of opened my eyes to how cool, like, a little bit bigger of a group of friends is. You know, I was always 1 or 2 friends, like, that's all we need. And then now that we're bigger, I'm like, all right, this is cool, man. I enjoy this community.
Dude, it's awesome, man. And what you guys foster within your small community really has grown into the bigger community of Work For It. All the people who are buying everything on your site, and who are out there repping the flag and all this stuff.
One of the coolest things is so many people get asked what Work For It is. Like, kind of one of the reasons I made it one word. I own the trademark to both, by the way.
There you go. Heck yeah, you do.
The reason I made it one word is, like, it kind of invokes, like, what is that?
Yeah.
So many people, like, it's kind of like a badge to put on your vehicle. And I get emails all the time of people being like, dude, some, like, guy stopped me at the stop line. I was like, hey man, what's Work For It mean? And to everybody is different, you know. Like, you get to tell your story. Oh, you know, I'm a lineman, so it's, you know, it's blue collar and it's all about this, or whatever, you know, I work in a factory, and, you know, Work For It's kind of my lifestyle. And it's like, people are so stoked to put it on their vehicles, which, like, makes me so stoked. Like, I used to get pictures of guys be like, oh man, you know, in Des Moines, I saw this truck with a Work For It sticker on it, and I'm like, I've never seen one, you know, like. And then now I start running into them in person, and I'm like, oh, that's so rad. And I'll, like, roll down the window, I'm like, oh, sick sticker, and the guy be like, oh, cool, thanks. And I'm like, oh, you don't watch the channel, you just found the website. But that's cool. Like, it's cool that you don't buy it. Like, I never wanted it to be merch for my YouTube channel. Like, I don't want you just buying it because it's like, it's merch. Like, I'm not a band, I'm not anything. Like, I want the brand to stand on its own. And it's all about blue collar. It's all about supporting blue collar. And that's my thing. Like, let it be its own thing. If you have no idea who the heck I am, but you buy Work For It stuff, like, that's so cool to me because the brand stood on its own. And it wasn't me pimping it out on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. You found it organically, you liked the message, and you bought some stuff. Like, that's so rad to me. And it's like, it is its own community. Like, you'll have guys that'll come up at a show and be like, look man, I got your key tag right here, you know, on my keychain. And I'm like, that's so sick, dude. Like, so sick. I'm sure you guys get it too. Like, when you walk up and see somebody with your product, and they actually like it, they didn't just buy it just to buy it. Like, they like the product and they're proud to show it off. Like, it's such a freaking rad feeling. And so we have created, like, that next generation. And I get so many kids that are younger that are like, hey man, you know, I'm 17, I'm about to graduate high school. My parents want me to go to college, but I've been following the Work For It and the blue collar message, and I've been following your YouTube channel. And, like, what do I do? Like, you know, my parents are really pushing, and I try to offer advice, you know, like, hey, you know, mom's not going to hate you forever. You know, like, she might be a little upset, but I tell you what, in like 3 years when you support yourself, like, what parent doesn't want their kid to support themselves and live a good, happy life? And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to be a millionaire. You can be. You don't have to be a millionaire, but the fact that you're on your own and you're not sitting there with your hand out, you're not living in your mom's basement at 25 years old, like, that's a different thing. Like, your parents are going to be proud of you. As long as you do it right, you know, you don't go jump in the oil field and you're, you know, addicted to coke in like 6 months and hookers, and then all of a sudden you fell off the wagon and now you're back home. Like, go in, do it right, make money, like, advance, you know, like, further your career, and your parents aren't going to be mad at you. And, like, the amount of kids I've had, like, that are success stories already, you know, I've only been at this we were established in 2014. So it hasn't been that long in the, like, grand scheme of companies.
That's awesome. The Longhairs, same. 2015.
Nice. Heck yeah,
same year, dude. That's crazy.
But it's long enough for the high school kids to now be full-blown career kids. Like, it's so rad seeing these kids. They're like, dude, like, I met you at a show in 2016. And look, man, like, I went to trade school, and I'm a carpenter now, and been framing houses for the last 4 years and doing great. Here's my wife. We bought a little house out in Idaho, and it's like, yeah, dude, that's what it's all about. Like,
so badass.
That's all I ever wanted growing up, man. Was like to be like, I grew up like Bob Vila was an idol.
Yeah.
And what does that man do? Like, he puts on his super sweet plaid shirt and goes to work, and like
belt.
Yeah, comes home to his wife, like isn't out, in the brothel, hooking up with hookers and doing cocaine. And like, that man's living a great freaking life. Like, I wanted to bring that back to construction, because when I jumped in, it was like, yo, you just got out. Like, right. Okay, cool, man. Like, that's not what I remember from, this old house.
Right.
But like, there's a lot of different types out there. And like, what's crazy is some of the scariest looking dudes I've ever met are like the nicest, have your back, most wholesome freaking dudes. And I'm like, that's cool, man. Like, I don't know. I love everything about what I do, guys. Like, it's awesome. so rad. And nobody created this life for me, man. Like, I just chased what I wanted.
Yep.
And I found it, like anybody can do it. Anybody can do it.
Yep. Time, dedication, willpower.
That's it.
Staying committed.
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's not going to be easy all the time, but you got to keep pushing.
Exactly. One day it'll get easy.
Yeah.
So I keep telling myself.
I don't know if it will, though, because, it's like, I feel like every, like if we're talking just businesses in general, let's look at work for it, for example. Like, every notch you keep climbing up, there's always, now it's like, oh, now I see a whole new realm here.
Right.
Or like, now I understand I got to do all this new stuff with the website that I never even thought about before. Or, it's like each climb.
I used to write that check once a month. Now that's one purchase order.
Yeah. So, oh man. Well, dude, phenomenal show here. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Why don't you go ahead, tell us your website, tell us everything, where all the people can find you.
So every social media, DMAXRYNO.
DMAXRYNO.
There you go. DMAXRYNO. Instagram, TikTok. That doesn't really like what I post on there, but I give the TikTok a try.
Okay.
YouTube, DMAXRYNO, and then our website is workforwardapparel.com. Get yourself decked out.
Hell yeah,
let's
man.
Restore pride in blue collar.
Dude, thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your mission. Love what you guys are doing at Work For It, and I hope we can do some kind of collab or something here in the future. Definitely the Great Cut. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we get closer. That event is happening in 2024. So you guys get ready now. Go to thegreatcut.us. Keep growing your hair out. We're going to need it to break our own Guinness World Record. Anything else, Sicario?
No, man. Thanks for being here. I really love what you're about, dude. Like, I come from a blue collar family, so I think it's huge.
Appreciate that,
really
boys.
Huge,
hell yeah.
Man. This has been a blast, man.
This has been great. Garf?
All I gotta say is that there's plenty of opportunity out there still. We just gotta work for it.
Yeah, baby.
Love the plugs.
Let's go. All right, guys. Till next time. See you.